Welcome, GOAT fans, to GOAT Radio. I'm the big man. Joining me for this one is Nucci. Nucci, what's up, brother?
What's going on, big man? Looking forward to this one here. Exciting time for a lot of franchises coming up.
For sure. We got the Stanley Cup finals. We got the Memorial Cup around the corner also. And it's about that time where there's a lot of chatter for the NHL draft. And we have an amazing guest. He covers prospects from all over the hockey world. Ladies and gentlemen, we're pumped to welcome Anthony Donati, aka the Prospect Don. Thanks for joining us, Anthony.
Thanks for having me. So much to talk about right now. Like enormous amount of news. There's what 29 teams that are looking at their prospect pool right now, thinking that it's a little worse than they thought. So this is the perfect time to talk prospects.
Perfect. We want to hear all the juicy details from you. And before we get started, I want to highlight some of the jerseys we got up on the GOAT wall of the GOAT radio studio here. Obviously, it's some of our local greats that me and Nucci follow. We got the Bedard here signed. It's the specialty jersey from the Pats. And then the star from San Jose now, Celebrini here. These are the last two first overall picks. Not only that, Anthony, back-to-back generational picks. And
Yeah.
you're a Chicago guy.
So when I had Merles from the Spinning Chicklets family on this week, and I asked him who he thought was better because there's a debate going on, Bedard or Celebrini, and he flat out said, they're both going to be probably Hall of Famers, put up a ton of points and make the bag, but a lot of GMs would probably have Celebrini there, and it broke my heart because I'm a huge Bedard guy. I watched every Bedard clip. I mean, we've been bad so long for the Blackhawks. Bedard was saving our franchise. I talked to so many people up in, Vancouver. He was a big Canucks fan, and I know you guys are a Canucks pod as well. You got the jersey on right there. So I just feel like, both players are going to be Hall of Famers. I am so jealous you guys got that Regina Pats signed, Regina Pats, signed jersey, who was, I mean, that's an incredible jersey right there. I would love one of those, but that's a great wall.
Yeah, Anthony, and we're gonna do GOAT rapid fire at the end of this pod, and I'm gonna ask you that question. So just let's save it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Just to get started, uh,
Yeah.
first off, me and Nucci again, we love what you do in interviewing prospects. Not many do what you do. So how did you get into this? How were you able to get these interviews? And a little bit about your journey in becoming the Prospect Don. Wicked name, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Honestly, it was it took a long time just to pursue my dream. I think getting into sports is very difficult, but once you crack into it, I was never going to stop. As soon as I got my first interview, uh, I thought, why not try to go for Matthew Schaefer and Porter Martone next, like immediately after. So I felt it was the right path. Once I got my name down, I think that's the hardest part. And then a little bit of the logo, I was like, this is my path. I love talking sports. I love talking hockey. I've been doing it forever. Just as a kid. So watching the Blackhawks dynasty and everything, I always wanted to be surrounded by hockey. Getting to talk to prospects and player media personality and getting to go to the combine next week, it's like been a dream. And it's kind of happened very quickly. I think if you want to try to get into sports, just follow your path, write what you want to write about. I don't think that clickbait and everything, works as well. I think that just good content, you will be found by the right people, and then surrounding yourself by the right YouTubers, like content creators, like NHL Draft Pros took me under his wing. I'm starting a podcast with Blue Chip Prospects, because like these guys are the best what they do at the prospect field. So I wanted to partner with them like ASAP. And then I learned so much about what I should look for. Instat was a big help, just getting to use that scouting source so that I can watch every single game. Like I watched Victor Soderstrom, shout out Canucks with that first round pick, but Victor Soderstrom clips, and I would not have been able to on YouTube. There's like nothing surrounding him. So it's just, I think it all happened so quick, I think, but just staying grounded, getting to understand that this is my dream and just putting my f foot on the gas pedal. I loved that we got to, collab together. I think you guys were one of my first interactions when I started posting some of my Prospect Dawn videos because I had only been interviewing prospects for about 11, 12 weeks now. And yeah, it's been awesome to say the least.
Doing a fantastic job, man. And we're excited for the Merles interview coming out. So we'll stay tuned for
Thank you.
that. Okay, we're gonna get right into it, man.
Yep.
Draft is about a month away in LA, and we want to hear the Prospect Don's top 10, maybe mock draft style. Who's going to be number one? Because there seemed to be a little bit of a debate this last year. Who's going to be number one and two? The last couple months, there seems to be a little bit of a consensus now, but I want to hear it from you. And we'll give the floor to you, 1 to 10, and the New York Islanders are up first. So, what do they need?
Yeah, so obviously there's a lot of James Haggins talk because he's the hometown kid. In my opinion, this is a slam dunk Matthew Schaefer. I talked to him. He said his pro comp for himself is Cale Makar. His assistant coach also at Erie said it's Cale Makar. This kid has gone through so much. If you want to read his story, there's just look up Matthew Schaefer and hardship. He's been through a lot. During the OHL last year, you saw incredible dominance at defense. His only problem was offense. He showed it this year. Got to play 1.5 games and dominated on at the Worlds for Canada when it's players like Sam Dickinson were already in their you know draft -1 season. And I feel like Matthew Schaefer's floor is just a lot higher than James Haggins. But for the Sharks, I think Michael Misa, his point totals in the OHL were John Tavares and Patrick Kane-esque. This guy was supposed to be the number one pick 4 years out, 3 years out, even 2 years out. Didn't really have the best OHL season last year, but then this year he exploded. We saw the Michael Misa that we saw. So I think that the Blackhawks are the one team out of the lottery that kind of got snake bitten because they wanted Misa very, very badly. But at three, I think that this is a total slam dunk also, where you take James Haggins. There's rumors today that Blackhawks want Marco Rossi. That's another under 6 foot forward. I think that James Haggins is just an elite playmaker. Had 37 points in 37 games at Boston. He played with Gabe Perreault, so I think a lot of people were like, well, he should have been more productive. Hey, the NCAA, you're playing against 22, 25-year-old men. Porter Martone is going there now to take that next step. Maybe Penn State, if that's where everybody is talking about, because Luke Meese is going, Michael Meese's brother. And that big step to the NCAA, you're going to be able to practice a lot, but not play a lot of games. So if you go into a rut, that rut might last 3 weeks because you're only playing 6 games. That's tough for a player. So I think James Haggins kind of, if he would have went to another league, in my opinion, he probably would still make a really good run at the number one pick, especially with the Islanders. Islanders have seen that kid play forever, so we could see a surprise. I think a trade down would be the most useful. At four with Utah, I think Anton Frandell. Anton Frandell is an incredible sniper. He's a great playmaker. His transition game kind of stinks right now, but in the Swedish hockey league, it's bigger ice. So I think in the American hockey rink, it's going to be a lot better for him. He's he's an underrated playmaker, but Victor Eklund was driving play on that line for him this year. So I think that he needs a play driver. He's going to be a complimentary, in my opinion. But at a top five pick, I think it's a little scarier if you're not that much of a play driver, but he's a sniper. You give that guy a pass and he has a great slap shot is what I'm trying to say. And then the power play is going to be a weapon.
You have Sundell ahead of
For
McLean
Utah.
and
If this
Martino?
is yes, for Utah. If this is a what I
Okay.
think will happen mock draft, I think Porter Martone is the better player. I think there's a clear top four, but based on everything that is going on, what Utah likes, what is probably going to happen, I do believe Anton Frandell will be a Utah Mammoth. I wish it would have been the Yetis, but Mammoth is what it is. But for Nashville, I think that this is where Caleb De goes. I think that Porter Martone, he compared himself to Matthew to Chuck. I think that's an awesome comparison. I wish that he used his body a little more, but if you're getting somebody like that, I think that definitely is a top 5 pick. However, Nashville wants a center. I think that they're going to go Caleb Desnoyers. He's been playing okay in the Mem Cup. I think that it could get better if he gets that signature moment. He could go as high as 3. Uh, he's a really good defensive forward. I think that there's talk that he could be the next, Jonathan Tays-esque player. I don't see that. He has a great personality, won the Personality of the Year award, but I think Caleb Desnoyers would be the pick here. And I think I think Porter Martone would go 6 to the Flyers. The Flyers just have like Jet Luchenko would be a good center. So you don't really have to worry about the centers if you think that he's a top 6 center. Um, I think Porter Martone, just his size, 6'3", 200 plus pounds, could start using his body more. Everybody talks about the skating, but it's his first 3 strides. If he's going to the NCAA level, he's going to practice 4 days a week. So I think that's going to help him a lot. He's not a slow skater. I compare him to like an old-timey car. It takes a little while to get going, but once he's going, he's fast. It gets you to point A to point B. He's an average NHL skater, in my opinion, with his development going forward. So just if he works on his first 3 strides, the guy's going to be a star. I'm not joking. I believe that this guy will be a star. I want Porter Martone on the Blackhawks, but the odds started from plus 1,500 to now plus 600. It's just not there for me right now. Um, he's the perfect fit for Connor Bedard. He even said Connor Bedard was the best player under 23 in the NHL when I asked him. So Boston, I think Roger McQueen. Don Sweeney has been to a bunch of Roger McQueen games this season. He missed 4.5 months, but in his first game of the season, he had 4 goals. People were talking about this guy being the number 1 pick, a little bit out, but I thought he could contend for a top 3 pick, but 6'5" centers, right-handed centers, they don't come around often. You got to pick the guy with the most upside in the class at 7 if you're Boston, because you're never going to be in this position again. And then, they took Dean Letourneau, and that might not have worked out the best, but I think that they like taller players, taller forwards that can bring a little bit of the punch, and he has a lengthy frame, so I think he can grow a little more muscle. And then at 8, I think Radim Merker is going to stay in Seattle. Seattle Thunderbirds, 6'6", right-handed defender. I got to talk to him. He said that his player comp was Moritz Seider. I really like that because it's somebody that has a lot of offensive upside. The ability is there. He's a good skater. The playmaking, I think that he said that he needs to be a better skater, but I see it when he has that speed. He's a different type of player. I think he thinks a little too much. So I think Seattle would be good for him just to stay there, get comfortable. He was playing against men in the Czech League when he was, 15, 16. So he's been playing against men for a while. So I think he might actually be pro ready a little more. And then Buffalo, I was thinking Victor Eklund here because Victor Eklund is just one of my favorite players. But I'm going to say Jake O'Brien from Brantford. He was the best player on Brantford Bulldogs this year. It stinks that Zach Hyman actually just was out for the season because he's the president and governor of that team. So that was tough to see that he was out for the season today. But yeah, I think Brantford Nick Lardis had 72 goals and Jake O'Brien was the best player on that team. So that's insane if we're talking about a player with that much upside and hasn't even scratched his potential because he's a raw player. Incredible passer, probably has one of the best vision in the entire class. And when he passes the puck, it's always flat. I've never seen anything like it. And then 10, Anaheim, I'm going to go Victor Eklund. I would love Victor Eklund and Leo Carlson to be on the same line. I don't think a lot of other people are talking about this, but Victor Eklund does not play like he's 5'11", 160 pounds. That dude plays like he's 200 pounds. But if he can start to just add more weight at 160 pounds playing against grown men in the SHL, that's nuts based on what he's doing. He's not afraid to go to the middle of the ice. That guy will stand in front of the net, try to play drive to Anton Frondel 30 times a game and does not care if he gets hit. I really like Victor Eklund's game. But that's the top 10.
Beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, there's some interesting ones there. I was interested to see where the unicorn Roger McQueen was gonna end up for you there. So yeah, those are some.
Where do you
good
think he would go?
Obviously that injury is probably gonna scare people.
Yeah.
I guess see how his combine goes. But I mean, 6'5", like you said, centerman, right shot. I think he. It'll be interesting to see what happens. We've seen it in the past where guys slip because of these injuries. Some guys go right where they're supposed to because teams see right through it or have their information from doctors and things like that. So I think that'll be an interesting one. Like you said, he could have been a number one going into this draft if that didn't happen. So uh, yeah, that was kind of, I guess, kind of leads me a bit into the next question there with, we talked about McQueen, Misa, Higgins, these guys. This is this year's draft. Obviously, we got McKenna as the undisputed number one for next year. How does this draft feel for you? Is it a weak draft? A lot of people are saying it is weaker compared to next season's draft. Do you think that is so? Do you think it's just more uh, people haven't seen a lot of these guys, whether they're playing college hockey for the Canadians? Where do you think this draft stacks up? Is it weak? Is it stronger than maybe people think? Is it correct, people thinking that it is weak? Or, yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that people have been saying that it's one of the a weaker classes, but I completely disagree on that because there's a lot of depth in this class. I like anywhere from picks 1 to 40 in my honest opinion. I think that there's a lot of value there. I think that there's a ton of different players that you can put in from picks 20 to 40. I think it's kind of like the NFL draft this year where, you know, I think there is higher potential than a Cam Ward at number one, but going down the board from picks 1 to 10, I think that after that drop off there, you can pick somebody from 11 to 40, and there wouldn't really be an eyebrow raised. So it's just who do you kind of want in this class? I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think that it's there's a lot of value. If a team wants to trade back and they have the 16th pick and goes down to like 28, you're basically getting a similar player than you would have gotten. I think that optics would their fan bases would be like, why are we doing this? But you're picking up more assets, and 2026 is probably a lot higher or higher end talent at the top where you have McKenna. I like Stenberg a lot for this in Sweden. I think I was a Mikey Burchild guy, but he's kind of slipped a little. He was top five going into this year for that class. But there's some players that you just don't know with 2026 because, like, Cole Iserman was the number two pick, and then he fell to 20 to the Islanders. So, like Roger McQueen, he could have been the number one pick, and I could see a case where he falls to 15 to the Canucks just because, like, there's always a player that falls. And if you have a back injury that isn't necessarily a herniated disc, like Caden Lindstrom's, and Caden Lindstrom's was a herniated disc and he was out last season, you know, teams are going to be banking on those medicals and weighing those medicals very highly. It's very different than just a player's talent or upside with a back injury like that, especially a 6'5" kid who's playing center in the NHL. Like it's tough. So I think that this is actually a deeper class when it's not a 2023 where you have just an insane amount of superstars. I think they're going to be a lot of contributors to Stanley Cup winning teams, like a lot of Carter Verhaeghes, like um not really like a Kucherov or like that kind of player. Like no, there's no Connor Bedard in this player, but there might be a Matthew Schaefer, which is like a Miro Heiskanen, but at this point, he didn't play a lot of games, so there was less hype. If he played the entire Worlds, there would be a more hype for this draft, in my opinion. Same with Misa. So, because he didn't even play in the Worlds, he got cut from that team.
Well, you brought up the Canucks. Why don't we get into that right now? I just got to read this from the ESPN little blurb here. After not drafting a center in 2022, passing on Zach Benson in 2023, not drafting until the third round of 2024, no surprise their prospect pool has few quality defenders, zero centers with top six upside. McQueen would look wicked in a Canucks
Yeah.
G. So good call.
Yeah.
Good call on that one.
Yeah, I for the Canucks at 15, obviously Roger McQueen would be the dream. I think a player like Carter Bear, who's a center wing like versatility, He compared himself to Brandon Hagel, which I would absolutely love. They need playoff players. It's not the soft players. It's not like the players that are going to be as skilled. It's hard skill. You need the hard skill players, and that's how Carter Bear describes his game. He had the lacerated Achilles, but he's already skating. It was before the playoffs for Everett, and it really derailed their season. In my opinion, on a team with Landon DuPont, 15-year-old Landon DuPont, Carter Bear was their MVP this season. He is just that player that can do it all. At 6 foot, 176 pounds, like he's one of the players that plays harder than he is, and it's not about his skating. He's not a Colin Potter out of ASU who just relies on his skating a lot. And also a player like Braden Coots, who compared himself to Braden Point out of Seattle, which Radim Mirka said it was the best player he's ever played with, and he played with grown men in Czech. I think that Coots would be fantastic pick at 15. He is a consistent player. I mean, he's very consistent. He goes to Chipotle every single day. I think that that's consistency right there. And it's a double meat, so you know he's going to add on the pounds and the muscle. So obviously to his game, 6 foot center. He's two-way game, plays really tough too. I think that the Canucks just need a tough player. Um, like most of the players that I asked who their favorite team was, it was either the Canucks or the Leafs this class, which everybody loves the Leafs and everybody loves the Canucks. They just want to play here. So I feel like obviously you could go for a right-handed defenseman, try to pair him up with Quinn Hughes. I like Tom Willander as well. He played really good at Boston. I think that they probably would want to go forward here just based on who's on the board. Maybe somebody falls. If like Radim Mirka falls, you have to take him at 15. Just you have to. Just best player available. But if a player like Malcolm Spence is on there too, who's going to Michigan, left winger, who I see easily as a at least very quality third line player. I think he has a lot of top six upside, in my opinion, just based on how he plays, and he's a playoff player. I think you're going to look for players with heart, like that play that hard nosed game that are going to win you games in the playoffs, not really get you to the playoffs. So the Canucks are in a really good spot here because 15 is in that range of bucket players that they still could get somebody that is ranked in the top 10 just because of how weird this class is. Like they could get a Jake O'Brien if he falls. If somebody doesn't, if a multitude of teams have somebody that fell, it's like the 2023 draft. There might not be a lot of trades in the first round just because people are getting who they wanted to get originally. There was zero trades in that first round. It might be the complete opposite if it goes that way, but you guys are easily going to get someone like Justin Carbonneau too, who's the best shooter in the entire class, who could shoot from anywhere, any angle. He's dangerous anywhere on the ice. So 15 is a great spot to be in. I like the Canucks fans should be excited on who they're getting.
We'll take them all.
Yeah, that could be an option. No.
Anything juicy going on for the summer in terms of trades? Anything you're hearing? And we got word that Roenick might be getting shopped with the upside of Willander. Anything that you're hearing?
Well, I don't think that the Canucks I I haven't been hearing anything on the Canucks or anything like that. I obviously Marco Rossi and Isaac Howard could be going to the Blackhawks. I think that it's really weird because it's two under 6 foot players. There's just a lot of movement on the RFA list. I don't think Matthew Nyes is probably going to re-sign. Marner's probably going to leave. I don't know if Marner has a lot of options. I'm hearing, Golden Knights could be the team that gives him the bag. I think it would be very scary to get him on that team because he could get you to the playoffs, but they have playoff players on that roster. Nothing really on the Canucks side. I don't actually know what they're going to do. It's going to be an exciting offseason for them just because there's so many different paths that they could take. The only thing that I hear is just like from the comment section, Connor Bedard's coming to the Canucks from all the fans. They're like, enjoy him while you can. Or Quinn Hughes, we have no idea what's going to happen with him. So I think that Quinn Hughes probably stays, but you never know. I think it would be a really good play for him to stay at home. Everyone always talks about him going to play with his brothers, but that's not really that realistic. That just doesn't really make sense. Obviously, it would be cool to play with his brothers, but he has a home there. Like I think the Canucks would just be a really good spot. I think they're a growing team. You get a player like Brady Martin. I think their prospect pool is decent. I like Tom Willander, like I said. Like I don't. Cam Robinson kept tweeting, and I've been following along with the Tom Willander stuff. But I think the Canucks need to do whatever he wants. Um, give him whatever role he wants, but he's a good player. So you have a good prospect pool, in my opinion. I think it's a little depleted, but it's a good start.
Yeah, we're gonna have to give him that opportunity. We need some guys on entry level deals to step
Yeah.
in here so we can make a splash hopefully this summer, and whether it's the trade way or signing a big free agent. Um, and you talked about Bedard there. Obviously, he's a local guy, one of the phenoms here.
Yeah.
If you were stepping up to the podium at three, representing the Hawks, who are you taking there? Let's say you think 1 and 2 go. Whoever you think 1 and 2 is going to those teams. You're up to the plate for number three. Who are you selecting to be a good fit to play with Connor? Maybe.
Yeah, 1 and 2 is Schaefer, Misa. That's just how it's going to go in any order. I think it's already solidified. And then I would go Porter Martone. He's just the right fit for the Blackhawks. You didn't get Ivan Demidov for whatever reason that was, just to take a right-handed defenseman with upside, which is great. But we saw how much hate that the Habs got for not taking Mitch Coffin, taking Reinbacher. Obviously, you knew you were going to get a little hate there, so you have to be right. They compared him to Charlie McAvoy, so that's already solidified. You have to just give Connor Bedard a friend. I don't see any free agent that would want to sign with the Blackhawks to be Connor Bedard's best friend right now until maybe in 2026 free agency, and that's if Kirill Kaprizov comes and leaves Minnesota. And they're already getting rid of Marco Rossi, who was one of the best players on their team, just prospect wise too. So I think they're gearing up to sign Kirill Kaprizov to an extension. If they give him the bag, he's obviously not going to leave. The Wild are in a really good spot. So I don't really know who would play with the Blackhawks. I think you got to draft that guy. James Haggins would be great because it's best player available, and he was the number one pick for so long. And the Blackhawks can't be stingy here. You have to take best player available. It's you never draft for need when you're in the top three, and that's what I think we drafted last year for need. Like Artem Levshunov was a need, but it's like we suck on every line, so it's like what we need everything. So that's why you take Demidov last year, but it was obviously a mistake. Who knows if they regret it? I know fans regret it, but you got to get Porter Martone. He's a perfect fit, and he's a great shooter.
Yeah. And you mentioned Marner's probably going to leave the Leafs. You think he would look good in a Hawks uniform?
So I asked Merles and Coach Petey, who was the video coordinator for the Arizona Coyotes rip for 20 plus years, and he said it would probably not be the best fit. They play like Leafs guys.
Hmm.
Connor Bedard plays like a Leafs guy. You don't really want as many Leafs guys because we saw what happens in game 5 through 7. They're not that great. I think Connor Bedard would be a lot different. I think he would actually elevate his game during games 5 or 7, but we've also never even sniffed the playoffs. So we need a guy that could help us get to the playoffs. I think Marner would actually be a good fit, but he's also 28. When we are in contention, what is he going to be, a 31-year-old Marner? That might not be very good for us, paying him 14, 15 million a year because you're going to have to overpay. I mean, we're paying Shea Weber 8 million a year for absolutely nothing. I don't know how the Canucks got rid of that contract, but great job on you guys. Um, so yeah, we got a lot of holes to fill. I just don't think Marner would want to come to a rebuilding team right now. Like I said, Golden Knights are a team that I've heard multiple times say that they're going to probably be aggressive for. Maybe he tries to go to the Hurricanes, but no star wants to go to the Hurricanes for whatever reason. And I've lived in North Carolina. It's a beautiful place. I think Raleigh is growing. It's kind of like the LA on the East Coast. Um, and I have no idea why players wouldn't want to play there. So maybe Marner wants to get the bag there, but yeah, I don't think he's going to come to the Blackhawks. If he does, I'm going to be excited because I think he's a good player and a good fit for us, and we need anything. But um, yeah, and Jack Pridham, a Blackhawks prospect, his dad is Brandon Pridham, who's the assistant GM of the Leafs, and Jack Pridham was actually the jersey runner for Marner way back when he was picked fourth. So I think that that's kind of a cool connection. I asked him about that Well, he told me that story when I interviewed him, and I was like, wow, that's sweet. I've never heard that. So I thought that was kind of cool to, throw in there.
Pretty sweet. Quickly, we mentioned Gavin McKenna. We talking about him being in the next generational
Yep.
pick. Um, and people are saying he's McJesus like level. Is he the real deal?
Yeah. Obviously grew up a Hawks fan, so you saw that on TSN yesterday. If you're watching out there, TSN did a profile, players only profile with McKenna. He's obviously cousins with Bedard by marriage. I think that this guy is already, they've played together, they've talked to each other all the time. They're very close. I think that this guy was made to be a star, kind of made in a lab. Incredible hockey IQ, really good playmaker. He has a stick on the like he has the puck on a string. Like when I talk about generational players, everybody gets mad at me because there's probably only like five of them in the NHL. But him, Bedard, and Landon Dupont might all be generational. It's just not my fault. They all came in one, two, three.
Yeah.
I mean, even Celebrini, in my opinion, is a superstar. So I think that if Bedard was never um, an NHL player, I think that Celebrini would have had Bedard type of hype. He had hype with the Chicago Steel all the way back when, and then nobody really even talked about him Bedard's here because it was all about Bedard. But I wanted Celebrini a lot. If the Blackhawks never had Bedard, I wanted Celebrini almost just as much. That guy was killing it. You just knew he was going to be a star, in my opinion. So
Yeah, I
there's
think
incredible talent.
not playing in the
Go ahead.
CHL like Connor like Bedard did, not playing in the CHL
Yeah.
probably was the difference in the hype there. But playing college hockey at 17 years old and winning the Hobie Baker and doing what he did, people don't fully understand that compared to putting up 100 points in the CHL. Like
Yeah.
it's still an unknown, like not an unknown, but people don't really understand that on the same level as they would point production in the CHL. So I think that's probably why the hype wasn't there. And like you said, Connor was right before Macklin, so there was like that lead up was all Connor, and then all of a sudden, boom, the next year it's Macklin. So I think that's probably what kind of led to not as much hype once finally Connor was drafted. Then everyone was looking ahead to the next year.
Yeah, and to your point, actually, the NCAA actually it got Macklin Celebrini more ready for the NHL because you're playing against 22, 25-year-old men in some cases, based on exceptions and playing older and older
I
guys
was
and
one
not.
of those guys. I was a 25-year-old senior in college hockey, so
Yeah, heck yeah.
he
Like
would have
there you go.
destroyed me. So that's all right.
Subscribe and like for that on that one. But um, yeah, see, I feel like there's a complete difference between readiness based on if you're playing in the NCAA or a CHL. Like Porter Martone's going to take that next step in going to maybe Penn State with that NIL offer that he has, which everybody kind of thinks that he's going there. Malcolm Spence took that step to Michigan. James Haggins is already there. I think that there really needs to be more of a case to these guys are so young. Logan Hensler, for one, was the second best point producing under 19-year-old defenseman um in the entire NCAA, and he went from like five to maybe out of the first round, and I have no idea why. He was the youngest player on Wisconsin. He only got better at the end of the year in the second half, and this guy was just somebody that um he was consistently put in better situations and getting more trust from the coach. And that's super hard when you're one of the youngest players in your team. So NCAA, I think, is a much better development path for players now, in my opinion. But like you said, the hype is going to be a little lower. And I think that should switch, in my opinion.
Yeah, and especially, sorry, go ahead, Nucci.
Yeah, it should now with all these hockey fans are going to be seeing this CHL talent getting their scholarships to NCAA schools, and I think we'll start seeing more of that hype. So, yeah,
Yeah, and not only that, you got teams like Michigan offering, where the word is out that they're offering McKenna $1 million+ to play one season.
Hmm.
These guys are getting can retire before they play one pro game.
Yeah. NIL is absolutely nuts. And someone like McKenna, he really, even if he doesn't have money, his I don't believe that it matters like NIL wise, but like when you're saying it's going to be whoever he goes because he knows that he's next up. But like you said, these players that are mid first round picks or second round or third round picks, they're going to want that NIL money too. It's not just about being in school and taking like having classes. It's you would have had to do that over making a ton of money now and going pro in the CHL leagues or major juniors. But NCAA is going to continue to get funding. You saw what just happened with the USHL. They're getting a ton of funding too now. They want to put more money in. I think Porter Martone was offered 250K in my opinion, and what I heard for Penn State, and I think that's kind of a low offer. I mean, even though it's incredibly high, you're seeing like players in the and NCAA football making 7 million. So I think it's only going to increase too. I think McKenna should be getting more than 1 million based on what that's going to do for the school and the hype that it's going to surround them with. So I think that it's only going to increase with the value that these kids are getting.
Well, Anthony, you are the man. You in depth. We love talking to you. Where can the GOAT fans find you? I know you're big on X. Maybe tell us some of the work you're doing this summer. You mentioned you're going to the combine. What's going on in the next few months?
Yeah. So I'm going to the combine. I'm going to post a lot of those clips and live tweet on X at the Prospect On. I have an incredible amount of supporting fans over there, and it's awesome. I have a community tab over there that's completely free just for people to talk. Um, I just created it and it has like 350 people in there, which it's awesome. It's always a discussion. YouTube is at the Prospect On. It's a growing page. I'm gonna post my Morals interview. I don't know how he came on, but he was like for sure he's a great guy. Told me his entire story, some Sidney Crosby, Wayne Gretzky stories. Um, I just learned so much with Coach Petey, which I just dropped my interview with too. The algorithm doesn't really like me right now, but once I start posting more, I think it will. Again, I'm gonna be covering the scouting combine in Buffalo, so I'm excited to get some buffalo wing recommendations. I really like buffalo wings, so I'm excited to go there too. I love a good pool and a hot tub, so I picked a hotel with one for sure. So maybe I see a GM in there too, and we do some synchronized swimming or anything like that. But yeah, it's going to be a huge, huge month of June. I'm going to go to the combine and then the draft. So obviously the draft is going to be different this year. Maybe they switch it back the year after, but it's going to be a good year to go because it's not going to be as crazy. I think hotels were a lot cheaper. I already booked in LA, so LA is a really great spot. But yeah, I think yeah, it was awesome to be on, and it's been a whirlwind just talking prospects and everything. So
For sure, brother. And we'll be following you throughout the summer. We'll continue to engage. We're going to end the podcast with our favorite segment. It's GOAT Rapid Fire. Okay, Anthony,
yeah,
you're gonna give us your answer. You can expand if you want to, or you can say next question. Are you ready?
okay, yep,
This is GOAT Rapid Fire with the prospect Don. Let's GOAT. Crosby or Ovi?
Crosby,
LeBron or MJ?
MJ, Chicago,
Cristiano Ronaldo or Ronaldo Nazario?
Ronaldo, Cristiano,
Ooh.
Djokovic, Nadal, or Federer?
I I like Federer. I grew up watching him.
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes or Peyton Manning?
Patrick Mahomes,
Okay, we're big into wrestling, Anthony. We got Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, or Stone Cold?
John Cena, but Ric Flair,
Wow, okay. Um, UFC, if you can answer this one, John Jones or Fedor Emelianenko?
John Jones. Um, I'm a Volk guy, but John
Nice.
Jones,
Okay, some hockey. Elias Pettersson or Mitch Marner?
Mitch Marner.
Damn.
I got
Uh,
a beauty one right now. I need
Sorry
one.
about that.
Yeah.
You're
He had a
going
tough season. He had a tough season.
McKinnon or Draisaitl?
Ooh, McKinnon.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Okay. Celebrini or Bedard?
But I would pick Bedard. I love that kid. Celebrini is a fourth, basically plays like a fourth line mentality with a top line skill.
Okay. Okay. Which NHL team has the best up and coming prospects, best pipeline?
I think it's the Blackhawks or the Sharks. Either one.
Which has the weakest?
Golden Knights, because they trade everybody, and Trevor Connolly, I do like, but I think it's the Golden Knights.
Okay. 2026 free agency class. McDavid is at the top of the list. What are you paying him?
I would pay him 7 by 20 just to get him on your team.
20. Yep. It's a good amount with the cap increase. Okay. Last one. Stanley Cup. Who's hoisting it this year?
Panthers back to back.
Wow.
McDavid
Wow.
gets a second. Conn Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
My-
So it's
Okay.
gonna be third time this has happened. Same teams playing each other back to back years or something.
It
And
could have
then-
been a sweep too. Oilers blew that first game.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's crazy what they're doing.
well,
No
I got,
Hyman now. No Ekholm.
and then
And Zach
Hyman.
Hyman.
Yeah. It stings as a Canuck fan.
Okay. What? Again, thanks, Anthony, so much for joining us. Okay, Nucci, thanks for joining us as well.
Yeah, that was fun, man.
We want to end the podcast here. Leave a piece for the GOAT fans, piece of GOAT history here. In Mario Lemieux's draft eligible season, playing with the QMJHL's Laval Voissons, he played 84 games, which included playoffs. He scored 162 goals, 334 points. His line mate, Jacques Goyette, had 199 points, then became a cop and never played again. But anyways, at the 84 draft, Lemieux was announced the number one pick, but Lemieux did not go down to the podium to shake hands with the Pittsburgh Penguins GM. This was because of a contract dispute between Lemieux and the team that prevented him in making that traditional handshake. The dispute ultimately resolved 10 days later, and a contract was signed, and the rest is history. He became arguably the greatest player in hockey NHL history. This is the greatest of all time podcast show, GOAT Radio. We will see you next time for more GOAT history. We'll see you later. Thanks, Prospect Don.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. You got to get a pinky ring.